What's going on, everybody? Your boy Robbie Bobby here. Episode 12, Cup of Mets. We're back. My laptop's back. No technical difficulties here today.
Yes,
Ian,
sir.
how we doing?
We're doing okay. We're doing okay. And the fact that David Peterson just got out of a bases loaded, one out, first inning jam makes it 10 times better. And Rob, that's the second consecutive week that you opened up. Sounds great. We love it. Before we get going and dive into the shitstorm that is the New York Mets, remember to give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We're at Cup of Mets. Again, we're at Cup of Mets on Twitter, Instagram, on YouTube. And also be sure to subscribe to our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. So, Rob, obviously the Mets are going through a stretch right now. They were going through a stretch when we last spoke. They've been going through a stretch all June. They are 6-16 this month. They are now 16 and a half games behind the Atlanta Braves in first place. They're 8.5 games out of a wild card spot. We're just going to jump right into this because, everybody's going to be listening to this and, the day after the game and we're talking about it. But Steve Cohen tweeted out 5 hours ago, end quote, "I will be doing a press conference tomorrow before the game. You will get it from me straight." Rob, your initial thoughts when you saw that tweet?
My initial thoughts was somebody was going down, and that somebody was Billy Eppler. Again, he just said it straight, like you said, and I'm really curious still as to what he has to say. Even though Billy Eppler spoke today to the media, and it seemed like everything was all happy-go-lucky and supportive. But my first initial thoughts were that, Ian. To be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It was funny when I first saw the tweet. My initial thought was, you know, we didn't see Billy Epler before the game yesterday, and then we see the tweet come out today, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, wait, is Billy Epler going to actually speak before the game today? And he did speak. And that was the interesting part because when I first saw that, I immediately thought that Billy Epler was the casualty. And I still think that he should be the casualty. With that said, I'm not really sure what's going to come from that. I know a lot of people are hoping that they get like a George Steinbrenner type reaction from him tomorrow. I know that he's not very oriented in that regard, and you know, flipping chairs and making mass movements. But what are you looking for? What do you want to hear him say? Because obviously he can only do so much. He's not on the field, but I don't know. I wanna hear him acknowledge that the team not only is not playing well, but they have flaws. They have flaws. And I mean, Billy Epler said it today. He constructed the roster, so he holds some responsibility. Yeah. Yeah. Like what like Steve Cohen's a fan too. Are we the fans that are just seeing what he's not seeing? Like what is it?
Well, again, he's a very competitive person. He's a bit a businessman. So again, obviously he doesn't like spending money and it going not so much it going to waste, but again, putting a product out there that isn't being successful right now. And that's what the Mets are in 2023 so far. What I did notice about what Billy Epler said is that, his biggest surprise, quote unquote, was the pitching, and that they're working diligently with Jeremy Hefner and staff and analytic department to see where we can put our pitchers in a position to succeed, whether it's throwing different pitches at different counts or putting guys in different spots or innings. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking for, to be honest with what Steve Cohen's going to say, but in reality, when I first read that tweet, I really thought someone was going down. But then, again, I'm not really sure what to think, what I want to hear. I mean, what I want to hear is it's going to get better, which obviously we all want to hear that and we all want to see it. But again, I think it's just on everybody in terms of the organization, from the first man in the front office to the last man in the dugout. I mean, everyone's underperforming.
No. I absolutely agree. Even the concession people, they're a little tardy with the hot dogs. They're a little, the pretzels have tasted like shit recently.
Oh my
Like I
gosh,
no.
that's
But
not good. That's not
no,
good.
no, it's not good. They're not getting their dollars. They're not getting their dollars. We were gonna go to the game tonight. We opted not to. We'll get into why we decided not to. Obviously Peterson's facing Julio Teheran, who looks like old Julio Teheran. So that was one reason why. But we also went to Philly on Sunday when the Mets blew their 4-run lead or their 3-run lead, excuse me. So we'll touch upon that in our experiences there because those Phillies crash. But with all that being said, I know I've asked you this question before, but I want to ask you again because it seems like it's kind of changing weekly. Where, kind of like the question that they asked Billy Eppler, do you take responsibility? Where do you see the responsibility right now? Who is it on? Obviously, the players have to perform, and some of them aren't playing up to their standards, right? And they're definitely to blame. But who's to blame right now? What are you saying?
I mean, I think my answer just stays the same on this one. It's going to be Billy Eppler who takes the blame. I mean, again, as much as you want to question Buck and his moves as of late, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know if Billy's telling Buck to manage like this,
What do you think
and
about that? What do you think about that, though? That's my question. Is that Buck
I
Showalter is making very strange in-game maneuvers. We saw it firsthand in Philly, right? And we also know that, and we have a gut feeling that Billy Eppler and the analytic department is kind of showing Buck and his staff who to play, what pitchers to bring in what situations. What do you think of all that? Buck Showalter's a veteran manager. You got to let the guy manage.
no, exactly, and his track record speaks for himself. Again, he has been doing this for a while now, and the Mets gave him a chance to come out of retirement and manage our team for the next 3 seasons. And again, when you got a guy like Buck Showalter, it's not like we're working with a first year manager here, like for example, like a Louis Rojas. And again, all again, I give Louis Rojas credit because again, he was a baseball mind in my eyes. He
Yep,
was a
agreed.
guy who could manage a big league club,
Yep.
whether it be the Mets or not. But a guy like Buck Showalter, you just got to let him, deal the cards and be that head honcho that he's always been throughout his managerial career. Again, he's shown that he could take teams from down in the dumps to all the way to the promised land / playoffs. So again, and he said it in his press conference too. What would be a successful season? I think one of the reporters asked, and he was like, "Well, we come here every day trying to make the playoffs." So that
Yeah.
was a great answer, and I think he handled some of the questions today really well. But again, I just again to backtrack a little bit, I just think all the blame's on Billy Eppler, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree on that. The construction of the roster has been um, pretty questionable, from, man 1 through 26 and down into Syracuse. Even we were just discussing, the Brewers pick up Julio Teheran and they just scoop him up. He had a showcase. They scoop him up in, on a minor league deal. The guy's got an ERA under 2. Meanwhile, we're signing guys like Dylan fucking Bundy.
Yeah, and I do believe that the Mets sent the scout to Julio Teheran's showcase bullpen, whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah,
again, I mean, honestly, again, we're gonna get into it. I heard they called up T.J. McFarland, but a guy like Zach Britton's still out there who's have had a track record with not only Buck Showalter, but is was at one point one of the best closers in the league.
there's just so many, whether it's pitchers or right-handed bats or just position players or just players in general, that really the Mets could have picked up as insurance pieces and depth pieces. And we've noted that on Instagram. We've noted that on the pod here and on Twitter. I mean, it's pretty eye-opening, and you're seeing all the flaws play out right now. And it definitely is Billy Eppler. I know Buck Showalter did get a vote of confidence from Billy Eppler today. Rightfully so. Again, listen, I may disagree with, I'm not kidding. There have been games recently where I have disagreed with like 40 to 60% of Buck Showalter's in-game management maneuvering, right? But he has dealt that lineup. He is, whether he's actually putting it together or not, he's dealt those players, right? Um, and those players are not performing. So to me, it's the person who gives the players to him, Billy Eppler, and it's the players who are not performing. With that being said, takeaways from Billy Eppler's press conference. You mentioned the starting pitching and Eppler identifying that as the biggest, issue that he has seen thus far. I'm an analytician. That's what I went to try to go do
Mhm.
within working within Major League Baseball, and I understand the impact that analytics have. With that said, I think that the Mets have beefed up their analytic department so much that it dictates not only the way that Buck Showalter manages, but the way that the Mets operationally maneuver players, between Queens and Syracuse and whatnot. And I just found it interesting that Eppler said that they're working with the analytics department on pitch design and trying to get the pitchers in their right spot. In the front office sees issues with repeated execution of pitches and quote getting the ball to behave like they want it to behave. How like no shit, no shit. But like there wasn't, it wasn't so long ago that you know teams weren't using analytics to work on pitch design and it wasn't so long ago that teams were evaluating every single move based off analytics. I don't know what Jeremy Hefner, and I know Hefner was very like deeply involved in that in Minnesota. Um, but to me, I worry about that. And it's not necessarily so much Jeremy Hefner. Obviously, the players aren't performing, but I just don't want analytics within every facet of this team. And that's coming from an analytical person. You can derive a lot of information and you can derive a lot of ideas and lineup constructions and in-game maneuverings through analytics, but it cannot be your sole identity as an organization because you're going to get exposed.
Yeah, no, and again, I'm gonna bring this up that last night Keith Hernandez, they were talking about exit velo and Brett Beatty, and I loved what he said. He was just like, hey, just see the ball and hit it. Like at
Yeah.
some points, you just got to throw the analytical BS out the window and just play the game of baseball. I was talking about this with my friend Jake and saying we were making fun of the analytical nerds. No offense, Ian,
It's
but
all right.
again, like sometimes like I said, you just got to go out and just fucking play, man. And excuse my language, because sometimes it does really just piss me off. It's like, dude, you're 1-2 in the count, whatever count it is, it doesn't matter. Just throw a damn strike, bro.
Yep.
Like, especially when it's bases loaded or when you need to get a big strikeout, when you need to get a big out, just play the game. Okay. To be honest, like if your best pitch is a slider, then why aren't we rocking with it every other pitch? Or
Yeah.
why aren't we rocking with it to put away somebody with 2 strikes or to make a big pitch? Why aren't we rocking with our best pitch? I just feel like a guy like, okay, for instance, right? Guy like Jeff Brigham,
Okay.
what was he known for analytically?
Sweeper.
Slider, sweeper, whatever the hell you want to call it. Okay.
That's a sweeper. That's a
Whatever,
sweeper.
whatever. But and Philly on Sunday, when he hit those 2 guys with the pit with the pitches with 2 strikes, it was a
Yeah.
freaking curveball.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't even know he had a curveball. Why isn't
Yeah.
he going with his best pitch? Granted, he might have not had a good grip on it, whatever the excuse may be. I do not care. You go with your best stuff. You
Were
see
they
the
two
ball and
were
you
they
hit
two
the
strike
ball.
counts?
Yeah, they were
Yeah,
two
right?
two
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
times, and he goes
Yep.
with the curveball, and he doesn't have a good grip on it, and it slips out of his hand and it hits Trey Turner, and then the other one was 2 inside, it curved right into Schwarber's back knee. It's like, come on now, we just got to go with what works best. And again, I hate to bring this up, but a guy like Diaz last year, right? He was so when he first got to New York, he was so fastball, fastball, fastball that they were like, "Hey, your best pitch is a slider. That should be your primary first pitch." And look at that. Look at what happened. He had one of the best seasons in MLB history as a closer,
Yep.
which led to a 5-year deal, $100+ million. And again,
Yep.
not everyone's going to get that contract. Not everyone's going to be an Edwin Diaz. But at the end of the day, we just got to play fucking baseball, man. And that's
I
the
agree.
thing too. Like that's the thing too. Maybe that's why Lindor's hitting 220. Granted, his wife was pregnant. Pete Alonso, maybe that's why he's hitting 220. Granted, he's coming off an IL injury, especially a wrist injury where you're using your wrist to hit. Guys like Marte, okay, you start the year on coming off a core surgery.
Yeah.
But again, why did he bat second right away? Because analytics said that's where he succeeded best last year.
Yep.
So you see my point here, and maybe that's
100%.
why, and again, analytically, maybe that's why Brett Beatty and Alvarez didn't start the year in the big league club. Granted, they're 21, 22, 23 years old, but again, at the end of the day, you want to put your best product out there and your best players out there, and just
Absolutely.
play the freaking game, man.
No, I definitely do agree. And I think that's something that even I just tweeted out a little while ago and it's on my screen here. So I'm gonna again, this isn't pitching, but Jeff McNeil, for instance, right? There are times that you can look at a player, right? And you don't need analytics to tell you that he's stinking it up, right?
Yeah,
And you go and you look at his StatCast figures, and his average exit velo is within the 14th percentile. That's miserable.
not
That's
very.
miserable. His expecting slugging percentage, 11th percentile, right? But his expecting batting average is within the 58th percentile. So you're telling me, and his hard hit percentage is in the 19th percentile. So you're telling me that 3 percentiles, major statistics below the 20th percentile within the MLB. What does that equate to when your expected batting average is in the within the 58th percentile, which is a little bit above the league average. But obviously he's not hitting above league average right now. So there's definitely flaws within the analytic system, but there's definitely ways of evaluating players as well, you know? And to me, I think that a lot of the analytics give you a really good base. Right. So if you see a pitcher with good spin on a pitch, right, you know
Mm-hmm.
that you want to amplify that, and you know you want to work on that pitch because, like you said, a slider is your bread and butter, right? So I think that there's just times that it should be much more useful. But then there's times like right now, right, where you brought up the fact of, and they're just putting together shit at bats. But you were talking about the fact of Edwin Diaz's first year. He's throwing fastball, 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 getting lit up, and then they say, "Hey, your best pitch is a slider." The crazy thing is about the 2023 Mets is it really is true. When it rains, it pours. Adam Ottavino is known for his slider. And he's getting hit the hardest on the slider, right? David Peterson, another guy, slider has always been his out pitch. He's getting hit hard on a slider this year. So where do you draw lines? What type of pitch design? Like every pitcher just has to have a different game plan, and it can't just be due to analytics or your track record of what you've done in the past or how good a certain pitch has performed in the past, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not working right now and it's costing us games.
No, that's a great point. And then again, a guy like Adam Ottavino, who's really polished his changeup, like our boys have said in the past, and he doesn't really go to it. That was quote unquote when the Mets signed him. That was his worst pitch. And again, it's just when something's not working, you got to try something different. And if it is working, then you don't fix it. And again, I think Peterson, it's more of a mechanical issue, but with Ottavino, I think maybe again it's just like a location issue. And again, obviously teams are starting to catch up on his primary pitch, which is a slider, and when he leaves it over the plate and they're looking for it, it's going to go over the fence. So again, I think at that point you just mix it up, and I think that's where Billy Eppler and Jeremy Hefner are going to fine tune things, or whatever they said in those quotes. But again, I'm gonna be honest with you, Ian. I'm glad that they didn't fire Hefner, because I really think one day he'll be a
I
major
agree.
league manager as well. And I think he's come a long way in terms of just being that pitching coach, that pitching guru. So again, I think it's good to work things out instead of just hitting Mayday, Mayday, and firing someone for no reason,
No,
or
I
not for no reason, but for out of like panic.
I agree. I agree. And that's why to me it always comes back to, if you're firing somebody, it's the guy that's constructing the roster or it's the guy that's making some of the boneheaded decisions, right? And to me, I say you give Buck Showalter, the rest of the year and then potentially next year. And if that occurs, Billy Eppler's got to be the one to go. Something that I tweeted out earlier today and something that we're going to touch upon right now is Eppler mentioned within his press conference that the Mets are going to approach this year's trade deadline, which somehow is just a little over a month away. It's really hard to believe, but the Mets are going to have a
Yeah.
similar approach to last year in terms of they're not willing to deal their top prospects unless a player is under team control long term. I agree with that sentiment, because quite frankly, you saw what a Javi Baez trade did. We lost Pete
Yes.
Crow Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, he also mentioned that if the club can change the story, then at the deadline, they'll look to add. However, if they continue down this road, they'll have to create other opportunities elsewhere. I agree with that. I'm just so fucking pissed that it's gotten to this point. This is going to be the cursing episode. I've really tried to tone down my vernacular, right? But, oh, Tommy Pham.
No,
No, okay.
raining by the way in City Field. So
Is it raining?
yeah.
It That's pretty fitting. Yeah, but when it comes to the deadline, how did we get here? How did we get here?
I mean, again, it's just the opposite of last year. We're not winning series. We're not doing well on the road. Again, the 6-16 June doesn't help, obviously, and when when your pitching staff can't go more than 5 innings every other start, or every 4 out of 5 days and throughout Monday through Friday, like obviously it's not a recipe of success or for success. Another thing I wanted to mention about just how the Mets are playing in general, besides the pitching offensively, right? Where are the hidden runs? Where are the bunts? Where are the
Mhm.
bunting runs? Where are the fake bunt and getting a pickle so we could try to manufacture a run? Where is the Buck Showalter play? And this is where it brings my point back to just playing baseball, right? Analytics say third to first, nobody out. This guy shouldn't steal because he's most likely to get thrown out. Nah, fuck that shit, bro. You fucking send them every time and you fucking hit and run. Or guys on second and first, you bunt them over with nobody out. Like again, I know you're giving the team the other out, but again, it forces the other team's hand, correct?
Yep.
Say, okay, for instance, you
Yep.
got third and second, nobody out, or one out, excuse me, and we got a hot hitter up. Guess what? You're gonna get intentionally walked. Bases loaded now. You put more pressure on the other team. Granted, we ground onto a double play, the inning's over, but it doesn't matter. You're still putting them in that spot to fail the other team. I'm saying, correct? And
Yeah.
even if you just hit it in the outfield, it's a run, guys. Like there's no more manufacturing anymore in terms of runs. There's no more making pitchers work. Just like in that first inning, man. The first inning, every time, if the pitcher wasn't at 25, 30 pitches, you knew the Mets were in trouble. But if they were, then the other team's in trouble and the Mets are going to win the game. And the fact that the stat that boggles my mind is that we score 6 runs and we have the most losses in the MLB. Like
Yep.
that's absurd, man. It's really bad.
Yeah. And I can't
Can't
remember
happen.
that. I can't remember the last
It's
time I met
it's
staff.
yeah, and it's 5 runs. It's 5+ runs. We have a negative record. 6+ runs. We're so many games under 500. 7+ runs. We have a even worse record. It's like it's like I hate to say the word, but it's like it's embarrassing. It's like a Mets stat. That's like
It is
it's just
embarrassing.
like a bad Mets stat. Like it's like the last like remember 2015 they were like this is the worst offense since 1962
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
freaking made the World Series.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like imagine that.
The thing that scares me though is how many teams are in front of the Mets.
I know,
It's
man. And again, like I said last episode, it's just these 3 series are so important right now, and they already dropped one to the Phillies. And that's a team we usually own the last couple of years,
and we should have won two or
and
three.
we should have won 2 or 3 exactly. So
Should have
and now
won two.
and then again, the Mets are favored yesterday in the betting world. Then we got our best pitcher, our $40 million man, and he throws 5 innings, and we lose 2-1. Like and
And
hey, welcome back, Drew Smith. Thanks. Like
that was something that I wanted to say earlier when you said like, the pitching design and the way that the pitchers are going about it. Drew Smith had the count in his favor last night and he throws it right over the cock.
a fastball,
A
one
fastball
and
right over
two,
the dish. 1-2, right over the dish.
2 outs.
Yep. Dead
So what?
central.
Guy goes from first to second.
Yep.
Oh my god, bro.
I think I've been numb because I have felt as if just I'm almost looking at the deadline already, thinking that the Mets are sellers, and I hate to be that way. I hate to say that. But right now, quite frankly, you just said you're $40 million man. Sure, Verlander's gone out and thrown 10 starts and thrown 57 innings, but he's got 49 strikeouts, right? He's not inducing those swing and misses. His FIP is at 421. He's posted a .7
Jesus.
WAR. Listen, he's got the Christmas. He's got the crispness on his pitches still, but he even said last night the height of his release point is too high. So he's got some fine tuning to do still. The only two pitchers that I trust right now are Max Scherzer and Kodai Senga, and Max Scherzer has had his issues, and Senga still walks 3 to 4 to 5 batters a game.
Yeah, and
You
has
know,
to pitch every 6 days.
and he has to pitch every 6 days.
Yeah,
And that's why I think it all just comes back to Billy Eppler should have been better prepared. I said it during the hot stove season. I said it in a reel the other day, and we don't have to go down this road. And there's nothing against Justin Verlander. He's one of my favorite pitchers that I've ever seen pitch. He's one of the best pitchers of all time, and he definitely still has it.
yeah,
Definitely still has it. Okay. With that being said, the Mets had way too many holes to allocate another $43 million to one pitcher, especially somebody that's 40 years old. Okay. And for Billy Eppler then to come in here and say that they tried to attack the 2023 season with the same team as 2022, but with just different supplemental pieces like a Verlander for DeGrom, that's not what it should have been. Quintana should have never been signed. Quintana hasn't been good since 2018 outside of last season, right? So you would go ahead and you put faith in Jose Quintana to take over Taijuan Walker, who made an All-Star game appearance in one out of his 2 years with the Mets.
In his tenure,
Yeah,
yeah.
in his tenure. And he also made 27, 28, 29, 30 starts. I don't know the exact number,
Very durable.
but both seasons. He was very durable, right? But
He
then
had a
you
good career with the Mets. I'm sorry, like
he
to cut
did.
you off, but
He did.
I thought
And
he had a
then
good career
he definitely did.
for
And it
two
was
years.
and listen, it was clutch. It was durable, right? And then you bring in Quintana, who not only hasn't been good, but hasn't really been able to be healthy since 18. Again, outside of last year, he pitched well. But that's not a good replacement. And then you go ahead and a workhorse in Chris Bassett, you replace with Kodai Senga, who we're not complaining about Senga. I love Senga, and I think that he's only going to continue to get better as he adjusts to American baseball. But as you said, he's got to pitch on every 6 days, and that's apparent.
So
So,
they're
so then, so then
yeah.
all of a sudden, you're out Bassett, you're out Taijuan Walker. That's 60 starts a season, 58 starts a season, let's say, right? And you got Kodai Senga and Jose Quintana, and we're going to be lucky if we get 35 starts combined from them. And that's if Quintana comes back. The Mets could have easily put $20 million towards Chris Bassett. That's what he got from the Blue Jays. They could have gone ahead and they could have signed a JD Martinez or a Justin Turner to a $10 million deal, 1 year with an option or something. You would have been at $30 million. And then they could have gone ahead and they could have added another reliever, or, whether it be Andrew Chafin, whether it be whoever. They also could have gotten another bat elsewhere or another arm, or there's just so many other things they could have filled within that
Dude,
$40 million, and
yeah.
they
No,
just
but
tried to
dude,
replicate.
not for nothing, bro. Not for nothing. We're I miss Trevor Williams and Seth Lugo.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like
And the thing is, we have not, I think I said this to you last episode, but I want Tylor McGill get that to get that opportunity to be that guy, even a guy like David Peterson. But there's no way in hell can right now because the rotation is so flimsy. Everyone gets hurt or is trash. Um, and
it's
it
just
just
depleted.
doesn't. Yeah, and it's depleted, so you need McGill and Peterson in the rotation, and then
No,
you
and
don't have that opportunity to have that long man, and then you're throwing out guys like Vinny Natali, and you're throwing out Dominic Leone, and you're throwing out this guy and that guy. I'm not gonna, I was about to say Grant Hartwick, but he's been great. But
no, I like Grant Harper.
so do
Yeah.
I. But and then you throw out Josh Walker, right? And Josh Walker blew up the other night, and he also had a bad game at City Field. It's just
Oh, Vogelbach. Nope.
it just seems like that's essentially
No, but
It,
dude, and essentially too, like if we knew that Sengo would have to start every six days, then Trevor Williams would have been a perfect fit because again, he wanted it to compete for the rotation. He proved it last year, whether it was in a spot start or long relief role. And again, he pumped strikes. Granted, players tend to play better when they're 1 year away from free agency, so they can get the most that they can, whether it's money or years or guarantee. And again, a guy like Trevor Williams who embraced New York, who was honestly the best, honestly the better part of the Javi Baez trade, if you really think about it. I mean, he stuck
absolutely.
with the Mets. Again, Javi Baez. I understand he only had half a year left in that year on his contract, but Trevor Williams, even again, a spot starter, gave us a lot of innings, durable innings, and he picked up a lot of like the BS, in turn when I say BS in terms of like we're losing 8-0 or 6-2, and then he comes in, throws 3 innings, and gives the Mets a shot to still come back. And
Exactly.
even a guy like Seth Lugo, right, who quote unquote couldn't pitch multiple days out of the bullpen, this, that, and the third. I don't care if he can't pitch multiple days because guess what? He could pitch 3 innings in a day. He could pitch 2 innings. He could close.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
now
all
we're here.
backwards.
Now
It's
we're
all
here.
backwards.
And again, no offense, Billy, but not everybody from 2022 is here, and it shows. And it
Yeah.
shows. And those two guys stand out to me: Seth Lugo and Trevor Williams.
Yeah, and not only that, he cannot expect every single player to produce the same exact way that they did in 2022.
Mm-hmm. As
So
Narvaez lines out softly to Julio Teheran, we are getting no hit. Actually, excuse me, he is perfect through three.
that exists.
And I don't even want you to bring up Eduardo Escobar getting traded because now that Vogelbach's not even hitting again anymore and Beatty's struggling on
Yeah,
the
I'll do
field.
it. I'll do it. I'll do it really, really quickly. Eduardo Escobar was traded to the Angels for I don't have their names in front of me. uh,
Two
one
relief pitchers, minor league relief pitchers. Just put it at
Marcinick,
that.
last name Marcinick and
And
last name
Crow.
Crow.
Yeah.
They go to 11 and 18 respectively on the Mets top 30 prospects per MLB.com. The Mets ate a little bit of Eduardo's money in order to facilitate that trade to get the arms. As far as the return goes, it was a good return for somebody that whose deal is expiring and has become a platoon player. However, why the fuck wasn't he getting the left-handed rips at DH against right-handed pitching when Vogelbach has just sucked? Because Eduardo Escobar started putting together better at bats, and then we've seen the glaring holes in Brett Beatty's defense recently, and it would be really, really, really nice to put Eduardo Escobar over at third base and maybe have Beatty DH a little bit.
Yeah.
And now Eduardo Escobar is gone, and we're strictly, we don't, we have like a very right-handed heavy bench, and
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know what the analytic department is saying about this, but again, I said it on Sunday as well. Seeing Marte look like a buffoon out there in right field.
Yep.
Give that guy a day off, put him at DH, put McNeil out there. I've always liked McNeil better in the outfield. And again, I mean, whether it's Danny Mendick or Luis Guillermo, I don't really care. Just have a glove whiz up the middle. Hopefully he gives you some great ABs in the bottom of the lineup, whether it's Guillorme or Danny M. But again, I just don't understand the thought process in terms of giving guys like mental breaks.
Yep.
Again, Vogelbach got a week off and he hit 2 home runs, which is great and all. But again, guys like McNeil and Marte and whoever's messing up in the field like Beatty, like just having them worry about getting on base and grounding out ABs sometimes is beneficial as well. So I just don't understand why they don't think about that either.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So, Rob, at 35 and 43, currently, the Mets have 84 games remaining on the schedule. Given what you've seen from them on the field, off the field, and what you've heard, if you were the general manager, and if the trade deadline was today, again, 8 games under 500, X amount of games back of the East in the wild card, would you stand still? Would you sell off some pieces like a Pham, like a Robertson, this guy, that guy? Or would you try to do what the Phillies did last year and buy?
I mean, listen, I think by the trade deadline or by a week before the trade
No,
deadline.
no, 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 no. I said
What?
today was the
Oh,
deadline.
oh, oh, my
I
bad,
said
my bad.
today was
Right
the
now with the
deadline.
record that we have.
And no, no, no. The record that we have, but we still have 84 games remaining. And what you are seeing on television every day, do you have the confidence that you
No,
would be able to go ahead and buy?
probably not.
Okay,
No,
would you sell or would you still?
I would sell.
You would sell. Who would you trade?
I mean, I hate to say it. I would see what Marcana could bring to the table. I would see what a guy like Tommy Pham. I hate to say it, Ottavino.
David Robertson.
Yeah, but listen, I would tell Robertson, hey, listen, we're gonna trade you, and if we do, we have every intention of signing you back next year if you're willing to, if you're willing to come back for one more year. Because a guy like him, I think with especially with Diaz coming back, we gotta see that 1-2 punch. But that's just me. But I mean, I would even look into seeing what we could get from Marte. And then
I,
obviously Vogelbach and
I don't think we can get anything from Marte.
honestly Narvaez too. But
Narvaez potentially because of the option next year. The biggest pieces for me, I think, that the Mets could sell off are Pham, is David Robertson, Adam Ottavino, and a Mark Canha. Those are the guys. Omar Narvaez also makes sense. And I don't want to piss off our listeners when I say what I'm about to say next. Okay. The Mets want sustainable success over the long haul. They also spend a shit ton of money. What if the Mets continue losing and a team like the Angels or the I'm real Blue Jay. I'm just trying to think of somebody or the Rays. Okay. The Rays. The Rays call you and say, we're willing to give you this player that's performing at this level at the majors right now, as well as this player, along with our 2 top prospects,
double play.
2 or 3 prospects for Pete Alonso.
Yep.
I'm being dead serious.
I know you are,
I'm
because
being
you
dead
used to
serious.
say shit like that when we had Matt Harvey and Degrom.
No, 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 because listen, we still have quite a club beyond that, and he's going to command a $250 million deal. And if we could, again, this isn't what I'm saying, but I think that it's something that if the Mets continue to lose, a lot of teams are going to be calling Billy Eppler and trying to get the availability on Pete Alonso. And I think that the gauging of what teams are, whether they're willing to listen or not, I think that shows how far maybe they may have come or may have not come to, a contract, framework or whatnot. Um, but it's something to think of. I don't know if you completely disagree with me.
I mean, I would disagree with you in a sense because again, like I like our core where it's at. If you include Alonso in that core, Lindor, Alonso, Nimmo, McNeil,
Okay, I got another one then for
Alvarez,
you.
Beatty. But I would honestly look into trading McNeil. That's just
Okay,
me.
I wouldn't do that. Okay, I, I, I got one other person for you, Max Scherzer.
Yeah, I would do that
Yeah. Okay.
because again, I'm not trying to pay him another 40 million or whatever it is, 39 million for
$43 million,
mediocrity.
43 million last year, and
Yeah,
again next year, and again, and he's got a player option, so he's going to opt in unless he has a second half for the ages, right?
yeah,
But he's been like a B pitcher this year, right? He's been a secondary ace. He's seven
yeah.
and two. He's got a 3.95 ERA, right? But his FIP is at 4.13. He's been worth 1.1 more, but his expected FIP is 3.97.
Hmm.
So his numbers are getting there. And again, he's 7 and 2. The team wins when he pitches. Um, I think a team like the Dodgers, again, the Dodgers would be a fit, right? Even a team like the Angels, teams that can absorb a contract, because the Angels are not going to re-sign Shohei Ohtani, and they know that. So they can easily go ahead and
Strike three.
got him. David Peterson, 4 shutout innings. Okay.
Wow,
It's what
good
we,
for
what we
him.
like. It's what we like to see. But
That was a six slider, but go ahead, continue.
it was a six slider. But I'm just saying, maybe not a Pete Alonso, because that would disrupt our core completely moving forward. I just really hope, obviously, they re-sign him, because if they don't re-sign him and they let him walk for nothing after 2024, I'll be pissed. But I just Scherzer is definitely somebody that I would consider trading if we are. And I love Max Scherzer. He's become one of my favorite Met
No, yeah,
pitchers
yeah, I
ever.
got you. I got you.
But I think that the Mets could really get a haul for him, especially since he has that playoff experience that a lot of teams are looking for.
Yeah, definitely. And then again, you never know. Maybe they could package like him and like a Tommy Pham, or like him and like another bat that's we don't want anymore, like a Marcon or whatever. Get more players back. But yeah, I could
Exactly.
see that happening.
Exactly. Yeah, no, they could definitely get a nice package back and bolster up. Not only what they have, they could definitely get a package that could bolster their team right now on the field.
Yeah.
Young pieces, and then they could also bolster their farm system as well.
So on this segment of What the Buck, no, I'm just playing. Yeah, we were in Philly this weekend, Ian, and I just want you to tell slash a little summary or reiterate a little summary of our experience there Sunday. We drove at 9:20 to get to first pitch at 1 o'clock.
135.
1:35, but we got there at 1 o'clock, and it was smooth sailing till the game, and then till after the game. But I'm gonna let you finish, so go ahead, Ian.
Okay, so this is me. All right. Yeah, so basically, when you go to Citi Field and there are opposing fan bases, obviously the Yankees fans, we do the same thing when we go to Yankee Stadium, right? So I don't count them. If there's a team that has the most obnoxious fan base in the world, it's those of Philadelphia sports, whether it be the Phillies, whether it be the Eagles, whether it be the Flyers, okay? Whether it be the Sixers. They are brutal fans, okay? I was wearing a Francisco Lindor jersey along with a bunch of other Met fans that were there. I probably got told to fuck off about 15 times. Um, they kept on saying that Trey Turner was better. Turner is having an awful season. At the end of the game, it started pouring rain. Obviously, we know how it played out. The the Phillies came back, scored 4 runs off of Brigham and Co. And the Mets fucking lost the game. But as we're leaving, people are taunting us, and we're taking it, whatever. And some Philly fans are nicer than others, but Then I'm
Oh,
running. Then we're running out, and
goodbye.
there it goes. Deep to
Brandon
right
Nimmo.
field, and Brandon Nimmo with
Nice.
home run
Good for
number
him.
9 on the
And there's
season.
Frank Fleming.
And there's Frank the Tank, and the
They showed him
Mets
before too. That's
lead
funny.
1-0.
Oh, there's fireworks.
Some smoke percolating from the apple.
Wow.
How was that home run call? Was that all right?
It was all right. Yeah.
We're gonna do a live broadcast soon of a game.
Yeah, we should honestly. That was a
Yeah,
bomb. He's been hitting a lot of bombs lately. Nimmo.
yeah, that's 9,
4-22.
and I'm pretty sure that's his third highest career total in a season.
Nice.
9. But yeah, no, the story that I wanted to say was basically it was downpouring. Rob and I stopped underneath an awning, and these two people walked past, and this guy looked right at my face and said, "Wait, what did he say?" He said something about taking the bus back to New York.
He's like, y'all waiting for the bus to New York?
Y'all waiting for the bus back to New York? And we were like, and I said, "Nah, man." And he said, "Yeah, get the fuck out of here." So I said, "Fuck you." And he said, "Nah, fuck you. The Mets fucking suck. How many championships do you guys have?" And I said, "2, yo, but you guys have been around since the 1800s, right?" And then immediately preceding that interaction, those two people walked away. Rob and I make a quick dash towards the parking garage, and there's this drunk asshole who's probably about 18 years old with his girlfriend standing underneath a tree. The kid can barely stand up straight. He's got a Flyers shirt on, and he just looks at me as we're running, and he says, "Fuck you." And I look over at him, and I was like, "All right, fuck you too, whatever." Again, this is within a span of 2 minutes,
And
right?
mind you, Ian just got shoulder surgery. He's talking shit with one arm basically.
Yeah, yeah. And I got a sling, and I'm looking over my shoulder, and then all the kid sudden the kid looks at me, takes out his balls, literally takes out his dick, okay, and says, "Suck on my balls," screaming it, "Suck on my balls," and he has them out in public. There's kids, there's families, and I look back at these two Philly fans that are in back, and I'm running along with Rob, and I look back at them, and I'm like, "What's wrong with all you guys?" I'm like, "What's wrong with all you guys?" And the left
Lindor!
field, Francisco Lindor, number
Let's go.
16. We need to record when they're playing.
That was a bomb.
Boom, 2-0 Mets.
No, it's good to see that. I mean, again, I would have hoped for a couple base runners, but I'll take 2 home runs in an inning.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, Philly fans.
Oh, he's talking his shit. He's talking shit.
Is
He was
he?
just screaming in the crowd, yeah.
Good. Good. He's firing them up. Good. Good.
413 off the bat, Ian.
Oh, that's his 200th career
Oh,
home run.
nice. 200 career home runs. Hey, Ryan Mayer, shout out to you. Shout out to you, Ryan Mayer.
Yeah, Ryan Mayer.
That's my
Ryan.
all-star game starting shortstop, motherfucker.
Yo, RCA's got nothing. Also, Met fans, fucking vote for Francisco Lindor. He's currently down 69 to 31% in the second
who?
voting phase. Orlando Arcia.
Wow.
Stop it, guys. Come on. Vote, 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 vote for Francisco Lindor. Right now, that may be one of the only positive things that the Mets have going for them.
He's on pace for like 30.
He's on pace for 30 doubles, 100 ribbies. That's quite a season right there.
Yeah, he's talking shit. Look at that.
So, Rob, as we wrap up here, episode 12, season 2 of the Cup of Mets podcast, just a few quick notes that entering tonight. Again, we were going to record earlier. Rob had a little medical incident, but he's good. He's got some severe muscle bruising. It's actually wild. So we're both kind of messed up right now. Him with the muscles, me with the shoulder. But some quick notes that were supposed to be ahead of this game. Josh Walker was optioned, and T. Farland, the left-hander, was called up. He pitched in 22 games last year, and Vinny Natali was optioned as well. He was the pitcher that we claimed last week and pitched for Team Italy. And David Peterson obviously was called up for tonight. Tonight's matchup, obviously, we've been calling it Julio Teheran and David Peterson. Tomorrow night, it'll be Kodai Senga versus Wade Miley. And on Thursday, it'll be Max Scherzer versus Adrian Hauser. And then the Mets welcome in the 44-34 San Francisco Giants. So the road gets no easier for the Mets. but hopefully tonight springboards them as Jeff McNeil finally gets his first hit of June. Rob,
That was funny.
thanks, man. Rob,
No, but that's the Jeff McNeil we want to see, hitting all fields, whether it's just like a blooper or a hard line drive. But I'm sorry, go ahead. Any
no,
last thoughts you were going to ask me?
no, but that's it, and I think that's where we can wrap it up. Billy Eppler constructed a roster that had holes that he needed to fill, but a guy like Jeff McNeil, a guy like Starling Marte, we need them to start hitting. Join the party of Lindor and Alonso, even though they're not hitting for a ton of average.
And Nimmo.
And let's get this thing going. Let's get this thing going, okay?
Yeah,
Let's not
exactly. Game by game, and I hope Billy Eppler's press conference and Steve Cohen's tomorrow just gets these guys going, wakes them up a little bit as Tehran just balked and sends McNeil to second.
There we go.
But again, just you got to believe, like we always say, and LFGM year 2023 has been good to me so far. So hopefully they turn it around and make it even better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And before I hop off, remember to give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We're at Cup of Mets. Also, be sure to rate and subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Again, for Rob Venegas, I'm Ian Bosniak. Thanks again for joining us here, episode 12. We'll be back next week with episode 13. And again, everybody stay calm and LFGM. Let's go Mets. Take care, guys. Good night.